I'd like to welcome the 450 podium here, Eli Tomac, Marvin Musquin, and Jason Anderson. We'll get started with a general question. I know that last week you guys had all expressed a bit of concern about coming to the track with the size of it. What was your general impression here of the Glen Helen Raceway today? Jason Anderson, you're first.
Honestly, all of us were super stressed about it, I think, because we just saw on Instagram and it looked like it was just huge, just like gap doubles, you know? And when it gets rough and stuff, whenever you're going so high speed and you're battling guys, someone checks up, it can get really dangerous. But they did a great job, and I think the track was perfect for racing, and I think we had a good day and a good racetrack, maybe a little bit one line, but yeah, I mean, we got passed by Eli, so I guess it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I agree with Jason. You know, they've made those two big jumps a little bit better, I think. And yesterday for press, it was actually really good. And today, still, you know, the second jump was still like a big jump. Like we're like flying off that thing, and it was like really kind of safe. You know, like the landing was a little flat, a little hard landing, but at least, you know, if you mess up, you don't have to roll like to mountain, you know. So it was actually good, and like Jason said too, a little bit one line going up some of the hills, but typical Glen Helen. It got rough, edgy, hard and soft, and it was a tough day, but good racing.
Yeah, I think they fixed the landings and made them safer, and it was all right. Kind of going with these guys too, like a little bit one line here and there, you know, early, maybe a little bit of too much water here and there too, but second moto came around like good old Glen Helen, like super rough, and it was gnarly.
I know he's not with us here in the press conference, but in the first moto you had quite a battle with Ken Roxon. Was it kind of a little bit unfamiliar territory because he's been out so long from the outdoors, or was it just kind of good to have a buddy back out on track?
Yeah, it was good to see him up there, you know. I mean, the guy's gone through basically hell, you know, on both of his arms. So good to see he's got that speed back, and had a good battle with him there it felt like 20 minutes. So yeah, it was good.
I'd like to open up now to questions from the media for the 450 class. Mr. Cooksey, you're ready to have your first question.
So Jason, you were really sick in Vegas after you won that Supercross championship. How much did that slow your prep for outdoors, and was that in effect, and is that done?
After Vegas, I got a couple IVs and I was good to go. So yeah, I still had a good time in Vegas on Sunday, so it didn't stop me at all. For outdoors, I think my worst part for preparation was I was so focused on the Supercross deal, and I didn't ride much outdoors, but neither did anyone else. But I definitely had very few days, and I had a new bike too that we had to kind of get going, and I think we were a little bit behind as far as bike setup and stuff like that, but like even on press day we're testing suspension, trying to get the chassis better, and I think we went in the right direction even from the first to the second moto. As you can tell, the motor's fine, the thing rips, and just working on the chassis a little bit, trying to get it better.
Next question from the media.
Aaron Hans with Racer X. Question for Eli. Again, in that second moto, late in the moto, you dropped the hammer like last week. It's just the same question as last week. Is this like a conscious decision you're making, or is it just the speed just coming naturally at the end? You're going so much faster at the end of that moto.
I don't really know. I mean, I just kept going. Was feeling good. Was relaxed and had some good lines and was flowing. I don't know, found a few lines maybe later on in that moto, but just feeling good, you know, not fighting anything and just going with the flow.
Next question from the media. Mr. Cooksey.
So Eli, about 10 minutes into that first moto, after the big jump, you made a right. You had a huge moment up there. You kind of clipped and front wheel. So when you have a moment like that, how long did that take you? A couple laps to gather it back, or?
No, it was just a weird situation. Like I went to do a little manual over this little bump, and my rear end just like ticked the rut, you know, and a lot more, and it was a lot more solid than what I thought it was. So it's a little bit of a moment, but you know, that was that. Just kept going after that.
Next question. Yes, sir, right there in the orange. Oh,
Eli, I have a question for you. In the top section up there, it seemed like you were catching Roxon. Every time you'd come around, there would be a couple second gap, and then you'd come around and you'd be right on. And were you taking a different line than him, or inside line, or what was going on up the top section up after the triple step up?
I don't know. Actually, the first moto I was going outside, and I had really good momentum down that hill. So that was that outside line, I think.
next question. Fella in the orange.
Joel Plitt with IEC and newspapers. This is for Marvin and Jason. Jason, you talked about not training that much for the outdoors because you were focused on Supercross. Now, who determines that? Does Alden say, okay, we're going to focus on Supercross and not practice much outdoors, or do your teams tell you, hey, we want to start practicing some outdoors, get on some setups? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a group decision, but Alden, he was not pumped on me, just wanted to ride Supercross. He wanted me to be ready for outdoors, but at the same time, I was in a position that I've never been in, and I wanted to really focus on getting that one goal accomplished. So I rode Supercross, and honestly, the biggest push was my mechanic. My mechanic really wanted me to just ride Supercross, and I put my trust in him all the time, CeeLo. So yeah, between me, him, we kind of just told Alden, like, we want to just ride Supercross and just be ready to go and get this thing done. And then, you know, come outdoors, we'll deal with that problem when it gets here. But I feel like we've done a pretty good turnaround, and we're behind in points right now, but at the same time, I feel like if I keep getting good starts and I keep riding really good, we have a good shot at battling for wins like we did today, and really getting onto that overall podium, getting that first win.
Next question. Final question then for the three of you. We're leaving Glen Helen in the rearview mirror. We're heading to Lakewood, Colorado. What's your thoughts on heading out there?
Usually I'm horrible at Lakewood, but I got a podium there last year, so hopefully I could do that same thing again. And then after that, I feel is when we could really start going on the East Coast, and it's going to be hot and humid, and it's going to be a long summer, but looking forward to it on my side.
Yeah, looking forward to go to Colorado. You know, Thunder Valley is always really good track. Always different with the altitude and the feeling with the engine and the power of the bike, but it's I like the challenge. You know, it's always good there, and I had a good battle last year, and it was a great race. So definitely a good track there.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's not crazy close to our track at home, but you know, close enough. You're in the home state, and got the good crowd there. So yeah, should be fun.
Outstanding job, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the top four in the 450 class. Eli Tomac, Marvin Musquin, Jason Anderson. We hope you all make the journey to Lakewood, Colorado next week for round 3 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championships. Have a safe trip home, everybody.